By now, my name's James. I'm 21 years old and I'm from Melbourne. I'm currently studying a music performance degree at Monash University, where I'm specialising in bass trombone. I started playing tenor trombone when I was 10 years old and eventually made the switch to bass trombone, mostly because my school kind of needed one at the time, but I was also sort of interested in it anyway. So yeah, that was when I was about 14. And around that time, I started to become much more interested in music and seeing sort of how far I could go with it and what else I could do. And I had a really supportive music teacher in year 9 and 10 who really encouraged me to start composing little bits and pieces. And I was a very big fan of using Logic Pro. It was a lot of fun. And so since then, composition's sort of always been a bit of a hobby for me. My main focus really is my performance work, and I hope to maybe play in an orchestra one day or do something vaguely musical with my life. So my composition's called metacognition, and metacognition really means, it's a word that sort of generally means thinking about thinking, with cognition meaning thinking and meta meaning above or beyond. And it's quite sort of an abstract idea to think about, how our brains are the only organs that can study themselves. And in my fanfare, I really wanted to capture this sort of abstract process of thinking and even just how sort of strange the idea of thinking really is. So if you quickly go to my fanfare, just on the short excerpt, there's sort of 3 main fragments my piece was built on. The first fragment is the very first entrance from the trumpet, and it kind of represents like an idea or initial thought, and it just moves in fifths. And then this idea of moving in fifths develops further in the piece, as you can see in bar 3. The whole orchestra kind of moves within the circle of fifths from low C all the way up to the orchestra's highest register. And so this kind of represents like an idea developing into something else. And I also wanted to capture kind of a mechanical sort of working of the brain. You can hear that in this sort of ticking in the marimba on these C semi-quaver drones, just sort of going daka 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 daka, which kind of with the idea fragment developing kind of creates these interesting cross rhythms. Another thing that I was inspired by was I love in some electronic music how they have these orchestral hit sounds that are really highly processed and really kind of unnatural sounding, but everything about that sort of music is very exact. There's sort of, everything's sort of quantized and rhythmically as accurate as possible. And so I've included some sort of orchestral hits as well. As you can see in the very last quaver of bar 1, the whole orchestra plays a C, and even this idea is developed further in the piece, like in the last bar of this excerpt. You can see that on the third beat, the high C is played first and then is immediately followed by the low C. So it's kind of a bit of chopping and changing, which I think is kind of cool.